I decided to first prep some stones for, I'll call them accent stone blocks. And what I'm doing is, this one right here is a Dolomite called Fantasy Brown, although it's got more kind of blue for me, but it's got some brown in through there too. So what I'm doing is I'm first grinding the edges with the grinder. This works great. So the goal is to take off this sharp edge. I don't want someone cutting themselves, including myself, and I have done it before. So kind of take that off, put a little bit more. With it such sharp, it doesn't give it as much of a natural feel. So that also helps by taking that off, takes off the sharpness. Do that all the way around, flip it over, and do the same thing on the back side. And any corners that are sharp, do that there too. And especially ones like this, take that off with the grinder. And it's really easy. You just kind of slide across a couple times, up and down, and it's cutting. I mean, mainly you're going right across this part of the head. And then I am hand sanding. Yeah, that sounds crazy, but it works. You really can sand these Dolomites, and this morning I was doing a quartzite and you do. So that's just to take off. This alone would take off the sharpness, but by grinding it, I get a little bit more off, and then quicker. And then by hand sanding, I'm kind of softening all the edges. So giving it a little bit softer feel, even like here, even, I'm going across these too to hand sand that to give it a little bit softer feel. And then at that point, after I hand sand, it looks like this. So you can see some of the marks in here from the grinder, but not a big deal. And what I do is I run my hand all the way around it, see if there's anything, sharp, cutting. If there is, take it off. And once I have that, then I'm brushing them off real good, because they're pretty dusty at that. And I'm wearing a mask too, and safety glasses. You gotta protect yourself. And even then, when I go like this, I'm getting some dust yet. So, but maybe I'll get a brush and brush them off too. And then I'm taking them inside by the stove, because I need these to warm up. I can't coat them with what I want to do at this temperature. They need to be probably 60 degrees, at least 50 or 55. So I need to take them in by the stove, stack them up, and let them warm up. And then we can move on to what I think will probably be the final step, and that is to coat them. I did think about putting legs on them, but honestly, I don't think I need to. And the other thing I'm doing is, if there is some glue left over from the backing, or the backing's a little, something's, not even because of the glue, I'm just kind of taking it off. You can kind of see this is where the mesh was glued on, and the mesh kind of fell off. So I just took it off. Now, if the mesh was good and solid, then I would leave it on. There was one that it was. Then I sanded the edges good, so the mesh, you couldn't see the mesh, but the mesh is still there and it was still glued on. But for the Dolomites, it doesn't stick that well. And once you start breaking it, it tends to pull off. So I just pull it all off then. Now that's the back side. And this is the top, so this is leathered. So that's going to look really cool when I'm going to coat this. Not the typical countertop coating. I want to use something different, but I'll talk about that later. I've been researching them some and got a better idea about them. Okay, and it's like woodworking. You're not going to really see the final beauty until you get to that last coating step, because I want to enhance the colors. I want to bring out those colors more vibrant, and if I use the right sealer or coating, I should do that. And I'm going to do the backside too. I'm going to do the whole thing, and then let's see what we have, and got some ideas for usage, and we'll talk about that later too. Okay. So our accent stone blocks. Step 1 was gathering them, locating them, and step 2, which I do have access because I work at a granite place, stone place, and step 2 is to basically soften the edges so no one's getting cut, including myself. And I think it adds a little bit more nature to it by taking off those sharp cut edges. Yeah, I would kind of like to take the hammer and take this all natural, but as soon as you start hammering these things, you know, stone is similar to wood in that some of it does have veins and grain. And in this case, it is going this way. And if I start trying to take off this edge, we might get a break right across there, and now we're down to 2 little pieces, which I don't really want. I want this piece right here. So there are ways to chip off the edges. Are we going to do that at this point? No. Hitting it softly, you can chip it quite a bit. But at this point, we're going to try this and see what we end up with, and see if we like them and if other people like them. And nothing else, this Air Estate's going to have a lot of these. Just beautiful stuff, and this should really look even better. And actually, that's the back side. And here's the front. Should pop out once we these are enhanced sealers, what we want to do, but we might be modifying it somewhat.